Little things like that. They just taught me to be on time and don't be an a-hole, as Caleb would say.
That's that's rich coming from Caleb.
Yeah. So crazy though. One of the first things he told me, this is on the court thing. He was like, "Have you seen a white guy in the NBA that's not an asshole?" And I'm like, "Maybe." And he was like, "No, if you're going to be successful in the NBA as a white guy, you kind of got to be an asshole." And then he just laughed, walked away just like that. So.
Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, really want the folks to get to know you, share your journey with us. So I guess to start it off, how did you get here? Coming from where you come from, how'd you get on point forward, meaning your journey to the NBA?
I grew up in a really small farming community. Senior class had 18 people, 1,200 people in my town. I had great parents. My older sister, huge for me, huge into sports. My mom played volleyball in college. My dad played football in college. So was always around sports my whole life. And then I fell in love with the game of basketball at a very young age. But, going through, high school, didn't have too many offers, played in a really small league in the middle of Kansas. And not too many colleges took notice from that. Played AAU in the summer, and I got a little more notice from that. But, got lucky, went to Kansas State. When I was coming out of high school, though, they didn't have any scholarships open. Some guys ended up getting kicked off the team for doing some not right stuff. And so that actually let me get a scholarship, and I got a scholarship and just took advantage from there. Had an unbelievable college, experience. I had a great time, spent 4 years at Kansas State. I'll say the only thing that I look back on that I wish would never happen was the foot injuries that I had my junior and senior year. Broke my foot going into the tournament, the conference tournament. So right at the end of the year, both times. That also kind of hindered me in the, looking to play basketball after college. So I didn't know how much the NBA teams would be high up on a big that just broke his foot twice, 2 years in a row. So really wasn't expecting much. But I came out and, by the time I got fully recovered from my foot injury, it was getting pretty close to the draft time. So I did 5 or 6 pre-draft workouts, and luckily the Cavs gave me a chance, and the rest is history.
Prior to the Kansas State situation, talk to us about what occurred for you to get your reputation. I know for sure you said you were able to benefit from a scholarship based off what some of the players did, but take us back to some of those earlier days of you putting in work and really finding yourself in a position to accept a scholarship.
So like growing up, my mom was she's still a coach in my hometown. So I always had keys to the gym. It also helped that I lived, it was like the gym, the playground was right behind the gym, and my house was the next house over. So I had to walk across the playground. So I'd like take my mom's keys, go to the gym by myself, just, any chance I could. I was just always, there wasn't a lot going on in my hometown, not a lot to do. So, I was always just kind of bored, just took a couple of my friends, we'd go to the gym, shoot. But other than that, we just battled in the playground, me and my friends. My sister would come out when we were younger and just kill us all. She'd put 21 on our head easy every time. Then my competitive nature came in, and I think it was like 7th grade. She came out and played me. She was in high school, and I don't even know if she scored, and she never played me a single day after that.
For the first time.
Yeah, it felt so good too. I was so happy.
Yeah. So when you went to the court, who did you identify as? You see the small town situation. Were you, were you kind of, instead of like the Larry Bird story, you had a jumper and everything like that. He came from a small town. You came from a small town, like a Jai High camp or whatever.
Yeah. No, I always used to, because my dad's favorite player was Larry Bird. He always used to talk about how great he was and stuff. I never got to see him obviously play and stuff like that. But, I go out there, and I think my first person that I was like, oh man, that'd be awesome to be like, was Dwayne Wade, because we had the same last name. I was like, oh, that'd be sweet. You know what I mean? So
D Wade.
I was running out there, had the weight on the back. I was all hyped up, stuff like that. But no, when I started getting a little older, like junior high schoolish, started like really watching Dirk play. And he was like, for some reason, the Mavs games were always on, and we watched him. I watched him any chance I could, man. Watching him was it was beautiful, man. He had everything.
So what was high school like for you in terms of like the fanfare? You know, most NBA guys, you know, they have a storied high school career, you know, signing autographs. I think I signed autographs once my senior year started. The buzz started late for me, but you know, talk to me about being from a small town in Kansas and you going around everywhere you go, you just wrecking shop. You know, you got Mr. Basketball, correct? Parade, first team All-American, correct?
Yeah.
So just kind of walk me through your senior year and what that whole thing was like. Because it feels like, you know, as you get older and this thing becomes about business, you know, it feels like those were the glory years. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, so my high school, big basketball school, even when I was younger, you know, we were really successful. I had a great coach. So like coming into high school, my freshman year, we lost 5 games. Lost in our little sub-state, so didn't make it to the state tournament. But then, you know, my last 3 years, I lost 1 high school game. That was my sophomore year. I lost to a team out of Wichita. Lost by like 4. But other than that, we never lost a game. So my senior year was like everywhere we went. I just signed to K-State right before, like 2 days before the first game, my senior year, and it was like every game we went to was like packed with people. Everyone was always packed. And so like, that was like my first real, and I was so naive at the time. I wasn't even like really putting it together. I wasn't even, you know, like it was the weirdest thing. We go to these small gyms that had like, I won't say like terrible high school teams, but I will say terrible high school teams. And
but you're like Jimmy Chitwood, basically. You're traveling around. You're the big name, right? Going to Kansas State, small town. They usually take players from out of state. So it's rare to see a local kill, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So it was crazy, man. We'd have people, especially like big K-State fans, would drive to like all my high school games. Like I'm talking like out in the middle of nowhere. They'd just drive out there wearing all purple, sitting in the stands, and they wouldn't cheer for anybody but me the whole time.
Yep.
So it was weird though. Yeah. So, and then the pressure was kind of on because, you know, we just won state the past 2 years, my sophomore and junior year. And so everyone was expecting us, you know, to run the state again. And the best team in the state besides us was actually like our rival in our little conference. So we ended up playing them like 5 times and they split us up. So we wouldn't play them in the sub-state tournament, which was a blessing sort of kind of, but because they were a tough team, man. So that game was always packed full of people, standing room, people yelling. They were diehard fans. But, you know, we were down. I think the state championship game, my senior year, we were down 6 at halftime, and everyone in my locker room was freaking out. Like all the players, they'd never done before, they were like panicking, like full panic. And we came out and just kind of turned it up a little bit, put on like a little full court press, and ended up winning the game. And it was crazy, man. Even the opposing team, our biggest rival, man, like all their fans came over, shook my hand, all that. So it was crazy, man. My senior year was, it went by so fast looking back at it, but it was fun. It was fun.
Let's go back to it. So did you ever, I know you had tons of Kansas State fans and the purple and everything, but on a national scene, and you know, my brother played in the Cloud County area of that little JUCO division. And I know for sure everybody were big Jayhawks fans. Did you ever see like a Cole Aldrich or, you know, correlate with like a Nick Collison or, you know, Kirk Heinrich? Did you ever want to try to be a Jayhawk and go play for the great Bill Self at the, was it Lawrence Fieldhouse?
Yeah. Allen Fieldhouse. Like, growing up, man, like my hometown was like 50-50 KU fans, K-State fans.
Okay.
My high school coach, a huge KU fan. Like he went up every summer and did like the KU basketball camp, like worked it and stuff like that. And I won't lie, I went to a couple of those camps, and I got to meet, I think I went to the year they won the championship in like 2008.
Okay.
So I went there and I got to meet all the players and stuff like that. But no, like Nick Collison, those guys, man, they're like Kansas legends out there. Like,
yeah,
you know, you're growing up, you know, you always want to play at the top tier, you know, do the best teams, stuff like that. So, it was always in the back of my mind, like, oh, that'd be fun to play for KU, stuff like that. But I will say my family's like pretty big K-State fans. My dad played football at K-State for a few years. So I was always more of a K-State fan myself. But I will say the dream, you see like a whole bunch of successful, like more successful people come out of Kansas and go to KU than probably anywhere else. And then I will say, like when I was in high school, I met Ron Baker, who went to Wichita State. And,
yeah. He's a baller.
Yeah, so he was I'm pretty good friends with him. So I think he helped me a lot, man. He was just like, man, because, you know, he had no offer. He walked on at Wichita State. He was like, I'm too good to play at the D2 level. When he went and worked out, he's like, he told his parents that. And it ended up working pretty well for him. So, but, you know, just talking to him, seeing his path, I was like, man, this guy's awesome. And as soon as like all the offers came in my senior year, KU, I don't even think they recruited me. I think I had got like one text from their coach, one of their coaches. So I wasn't too concerned. My dad was like, as long as I don't have to pay for college, you're good. And I was like,
right.
Perfect.
So I got like a 2-part question. First part of it is, who was the best high school player that you saw or played against when you were in high school? Like just not just in state, but overall.
Overall, we played, I don't know. I would say the best high school player I ever played, probably Malik Newman when I was
okay.
The Dallas Great American Shootout, I think is what it was. But played him there. He gave us like 40, 45. Yeah. And they also had Terrence Ferguson on their team. So
I know that name.
Yeah, well, Malik Newman, like offensively, he had a game like Brad Bill. So they're pegging him to be the next Brad. So like when he's saying like, I mean, it sucks. He didn't pan out, but Malik Newman in high school was legitimately like top 5 you ever seen. So like that right there, yeah.
What college did he end up going to?
He went to Mississippi State, but then he transferred to KU.
Yeah, he transferred to KU. Averaged about 14 a night, little shooter, did some crazy stuff, but he's part of the squad, 3-and-D, but he was tough. He had game to him.
His college, when we played him during the like conference season, he was averaging like 4 points a game for KU. And then they got to the tournament and he just blew up. He had like 3 30-point games. Like, and I talked because he played for the Canton Charge G League team when I was a 2A my rookie year. And he was my teammate. And he was like, man, like mentally, I was just so out of it. And so when I got to the tournament, I kind of said, screw it. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And he was hot though. He
did what he was supposed to do. Crazy,
man.
Yeah. So talk about going from high school to being able to walk in day one at Kansas State and, being able to really have to step outside of a small town and onto a big stage and, really sharpening your tools against some of the great players, in the Big 12. What was that like meeting Coach Bruce Weber and, really rising your game from a small state level to a national level?
Yeah. So coming out of high school, man, I really didn't know what to expect. I've played good competition before, but I was just like, not 100% sure how this would go. They lost. I think they ended up having like 6 or 7 guys transfer going into my freshman year. So I got thrown into the fire early. Like I was starting from day one. And it was definitely an eye-opening experience. I'll say going into it, it was super fun. I was having a pretty good year. And then we got to Big 12 play. And then, the Big 12 was like loaded with like really older power forwards that were just like been through the fire before, like George Niang, Perry Ellis.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
Perry Ellis.
I think it was like my 3rd game in the Big 12. And I think if we were playing Iowa State, George Niang just went crazy. Like, I know he's not very fast, can't jump the highest, but he torched us, man. He gave us like 28, 10, 9 assists. That was a loaded team though. But
they had Bryce Dejon Jones.
Yeah. Didn't they around that time?
They
had Monte Morris.
Monte
was there too.
Monte Morris is good. Yeah. He was really good.
They had a 5-man that was like super athletic, fast. He just ran the court as fast as he could every single time. Got like layups, dunks.
Yeah, they were tough. It's transfer you out there. They were all good. Yeah, it was transfer you over there.
Oh, that was a tough team. So I was like my 3rd game in the Big 12, and that was like really like when I was like, oh, this is how it is in here. So, but then on, man, it was like every team was super tough, and we were like K-State at the time was young. Everyone there was new, pretty much. I think we had like 3 players from the year before, and man, it was tough. It was a tough year. We sucked, but learned a ton from that just that year alone. But yeah, coming out of high school, man, I didn't know what to expect. Got thrown right into the fire freshman year. And the non-conference schedule was all right. Like, it wasn't too bad. But then you get into Big 12 play, and it was like the physicality and energy just bumped up like 2 notches. And I mean, people are hitting you for no reason coming across the lane. You're just getting jacked by everyone. So it was a eye-opening experience for sure.
When did you have that moment, like you said, when you're in 7th grade and you finally beat your sister and the competitive nature kicked in? Like, at what point was it like, okay, this is no longer just the beginning stages, but I'm ready to rock and, get to my next destination,
Yeah. So when I was in college, you talking about?
Yes, sir.
I was a sophomore. We're going into Big 12 play. And I think we were like 4 or 5 games in. I was like leading the Big 12 in scoring. I really wasn't paying attention at all. I really wasn't caring too much about like the stats. We were just, we were winning. So I was like, in the Big 12, we hadn't won the year before. So this was big, man. I was like, oh man, we're winning. This is exciting. But then I had a game. I think we were playing KU. I think I had 20 at their place as a sophomore. And that was like, man, yeah, like I can really play with these guys. Like from then on, I was like, man, I'm the best player here. That's my mindset going into all the games. And so I think that was probably it. When we were playing KU at their place, had like 20, 22. Should have won that game. I had a shot at the end, missed it, but that was definitely the game where I was like, yeah, man, I can definitely hold my own here. This is what it is. But that was when I woke up and was like, yeah, this is for me for sure.
And so to walk me through that, because I don't want to go too forward, but is it similar in terms of the mindset? I don't think people understand like how our mindset is going into basketball games, like what we're thinking. Confidence is half the battle in the NBA. Know, so and you just alluded to it a little bit, saying to yourself like, okay, I'm the man now. Do you feel like it's just working yourself to that point at each level and you finally get there? And, how long has it, it took you, you knew it in high school, sophomore year, you figured it out. But I guess, let me take it here. When did you know that you were an NBA talent, that you had the opportunity where you can possibly play in the NBA?
Yeah. So at the end of my sophomore year, man, I was having better games, and some people started kind of like, you hear like rumors like, oh, you could, you can go test the waters or whatever at the time. And I was like, I hadn't even thought about it. So I think I went to my sophomore year, I went to the NCAA had like this little meeting thing. I forgot what it's called, but you go talk and like, they bring a whole bunch of like people in, they talk to you, and it's like top, I don't know what it was, 20 players in the NBA or in the college that would come, and we'd all just stay there for a week in Indianapolis, and they'd bring for like people to talk about their experiences and losing money. It's like money. They all talk about like how you save your money and stuff like that when you get to the NBA. And I don't remember how many people there was. Like, I think it was like 15 or 16 people showed up out of the 20 invited. And we were in Indianapolis, and we had a guy who was playing for Butler that was there, and he was like, you guys want to go play, like a little open gym after this? And we're like, yeah, sure. So we go in there, and it's like, some really good talent there. And that was like when I was playing against him, I was like, oh yeah, I could definitely play in the NBA with this. But back to like the mindset thing, I think, especially basketball, I mean, confidence is literally half the battle. Like,
yeah,
outside of everything, man. If you go in there with the confident mindset, especially as a shooter, like confidence is everything. Your mindset, you have to go into a game and think like, oh, I'm the best shooter here by far. If I can even see the rim, it's going in.
Yep.
But that's like the biggest thing. It took me a while to learn that. And I think somebody who really taught me that is Kevin Love. My 3 years, man, he's like, you just got to be unconscious. Like, and he used some other once in a while in there that I can't say, but he'd be like, I mean, who cares what everyone else says, man? Like, coaches say, like, no, maybe look at it different, maybe one more. It's like, nah, if you can see the rim, shoot it every single time. It doesn't matter what happens. You shoot the ball. That's what you're out there doing. So I learned a lot from him, man. He kind of took me under and showed me the ropes a little bit. And, I'll always forever be grateful to him for that. But Kevin's mindset's completely like that. I mean, like everything he does is unconscious. He could shoot 10 times in a game. If he misses all 10, he gets the ball next time on just one pass early in the shot clock. Give him a little bit of space, he's shooting it for sure.
Yep.
He's just like, he was the one who really taught me the mindset. Like, you have to go out and think you're the best shooter, the best player on the court at all times, no matter what happens. So, that's the mindset thing for me. It took a while for me to learn, but he kind of beat it in there.
Yeah, I kind of also took from that story as well that you adapt quicker in kind of tough situations, especially coming from a small town and going to big Kansas State and everything. And I want to take it to leaving college and you went undrafted and had to play for your spot. Like, clearly those unknown moments of going to the gym in Indianapolis, showing up from the small town, and obviously being able to go undrafted and get a contract deal. I mean, don't you think you always somewhat kind of been prepared for those type of pressure situations? Because it's not easy to do that.
No, it's not easy. But I have a great support system around me. I have great teammates everywhere I go. I feel like I have the best teammates around. So, I mean, especially when I was coming out of college and they're like, yeah, you two-way deal. I'm like, yeah, I'll sign it. Two-way. Just give me anything to put my foot in the door.
Yep.
That's all I've ever asked for, really, was just an opportunity to show myself and prove myself. And, they gave me a shot. And then, later on that year, people started getting hurt, which, it sucks. It's the NBA. Everyone there's going to be injuries. You just hope they're not bad or too much. But there was a few injuries that happened and allowed me to go out and play. And I feel like that helped me a ton too. It's just being able to go out there and play. And there was no stress for me then either, because I think we won 15 games at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They threw me out there, no game plan, just go out there and play. And so it was no stress. I knew what I was playing for. But the other guys out there, they were just man, let's just get this game over with. Let's, get to the offseason this year. But I knew what I was fighting for, I was playing for. So I had a little extra chip on my shoulder, just to try to prove to them that I could play at the level. And, so I think I got lucky a few spots along the way with just playing time, stuff like that. But yeah, man, that first year was it was weird, man. I remember calling my dad midway through the season. And I was playing a lot with the G League, and he was like, "Yeah, man, just it's day by day. Just take it day by day. Every day is different, and just worry about the next day. And don't look too far ahead." Because I was talking to him man, what do you think is going to happen to me after the season? You think I'll be all right? What am I going to do? And so he always tried to keep me level, just never look too far ahead, and luckily it worked out for me.
So now I want to jump into the cream of the conversation, and I always wanted to really tap into the perspective of obviously the league is majority African Americans, and we all know the movies like White Man Can't Jump. And Butch McRae was the name I was thinking from Blue Chips. You're probably too young from that movie.
Yeah, I just used that name earlier, Jerry.
Yeah, Butch McRae. He was from a farm town, and he went to college with Shaq and Penny, where Nick Nolte was the head coach.
Nah, that ain't Butch McRae. Butch McRae, that was Penny Hardaway's character.
Oh, that Butch was Penny. What was the white dude's name? Ricky. Ricky.
It wasn't Ricky Bell. That's a.
I forgot his name, but he ain't see the movie. His name was Ricky.
Yeah,
but he was from a small town, and there are always subconsciously there are stereotypes with every type of player on the floor, You know what I mean? From who can jump the highest, who can shoot the best, who's IQ, defense, speed, quickness, all those things. So, and then there's other things off the court that I want to tap into as well, just coming from your background. But what's it like being a white player in the NBA in your eyes?
Or
do you even notice it?
I don't really
notice. He got to notice. What kind of music you listen to?
I will say my first couple years though, like, you'd be sitting on the bench and, like a white player coming for the opposite team. And I swear it's like always the first possession they get in. It's like, hey, run them into a ball screen. See if they switch. Do that. Yeah. And I'll even say, like, for me, my second year when I was actually playing quite a bit for the first time, I'm talking every team we played, I'm getting run into the first 3 ball screens, and I'm switching every single time. My whole mindset is if I get at least 2 stops here, and on the third one I'll foul, but like I get the first 2 stops, they will not call me into another ball screen the rest of the game. So that was my mindset. I'm calling the big white guy into a ball screen. I'm switching. All I got to do is get 2 stops, and I'll have to deal with this the rest of the game. So that was my mindset going in. And K-Love used to make fun of me. He's like, I'd be checking in and he'd be like, you know what you're going in to do, right? Yep. I move my feet better than I think some people expect. So I got stops, and that kind of helped me. I got a little bit more of a reputation as a defender now than I did back then. But definitely being a white player in the NBA, you're going to get run off the line for sure. That's just see if you can dribble. But definitely the defensive side is where you see it more, I think, is like attacking every single time, attacking.
Besides that, what was your first, welcome to the NBA moment?
Yeah, I would say, so it was like my first, it might have been a preseason game, actually. Preseason game, we were playing in New York at the Garden and everything. We're playing, and they checked me in first play, Julius Randle ISO at the elbow. Yeah, he just went straight at me the whole,
bull in a China shop.
Yeah, that's a man.
Exactly.
Trying to kill everybody.
Oh, man. And I was, I was cold. I'm coming off the bench. I really wasn't expecting to go in yet. They throw me in there, and he goes shoulder to the chest. And I'm like, and it's my first, it was probably my first NBA game, real NBA game. We had a preseason game, but it was against a Argentinian team or some Brazilian team or something like that. So it's my first NBA game. They throw me in there, and I'm like Julius Randle 1-on-1 from the elbow. I'm like, I hadn't even I hadn't even touched the basketball yet. And that's the first thing to happen. So that was probably my welcome to the NBA moment. My true, actually welcome to the NBA moment was my first practice. I'm guarding K-Love. The score, they are down 2 with 1.3 seconds left or something. And all they're telling me is, don't let K-Love touch the ball. I'm like, all right, perfect. I can do that. Right. It's got to be, he's an old guy. He can't move his feet. He hit me with some vet push off move, came around a screen, pushed the screener into me, catches it behind 3, hits the 3, and just smiles at me. The rest, we ended practice right there. Just cashed it, looked at me, smiled, and for the whole we gather at the center circle to talk. He's right across the circle from me, and he's just staring at me, just smiling the whole time. I introduced myself to him that day, before practice. I just met the guy. He just cashed a 3 for the game. So that was my first, I had to go home after that. I called my dad. I was like, Dad, you won't believe this. Kevin Love today. So that was my first real welcome to the league moment.
So I want to tap into that for a second. And, we've been having a lot of conversations, whether it's with the union or I speak to the front office or the coaching staff, just the veterans' presence and how, they help a young guy get adjusted and acclimated to the NBA. And, I got some unique ideas that I'm trying to, push the NBA to try to implement. But just speak to how important that vet or how important Kevin Love was to you. I know you spoke about on the court, which is beautiful, but off the court, how has he helped you, get adjusted and, keep you on your toes to what lies ahead off the court being an NBA player?
Right. So when I came in, I was super immature. I'm 21 years old. I'm just joking around the whole time, never really serious. But I had K Love and then Larry Nance, Jr. in the locker room. They were like right next to me. So those two guys showed me the ropes. I mean, I think my first road trip, man, I was like super excited. I didn't know what the NBA, everyone, you're like NBA life. Everyone does this, that, goes out, all that stuff. So I had no idea what to expect. I'm 21 years old, first time in the NBA. I'm like super excited. Like I'm like geeked. I'm like a little kid. I didn't know what to expect talking the whole time. I'm annoying Larry, but no, they took me out to dinner and just kind of sat me down, and I was asking them like, so what do you guys do on the road? And K Love and Larry were like, I won't lie to you, like 85% of the time on the road, we're just in the hotel, just talking to each other in the hotel. We might go to each other's rooms, talk. And then other than that, we're just doing treatment, getting our bodies right. And I'm like, man, that's some real old man stuff right there. I remember I said that to Larry, like, man, that's some real old man stuff right there. And he was like, yeah, you'll understand it one day. And, those just like, I'm talking every day, like Larry walk around my room on the way down to breakfast, knock on my door just in case, make sure I was awake. So just like little things like that, they just taught me to be on time and don't be an a-hole, as K-Love would say.
That's rich coming from K-Love.
Yeah. So crazy though. One of the first things he told me, this is on the court thing. He was like, have you seen a white guy in the NBA that's not an asshole? And I'm like, well, I don't really know you that well, but maybe. And he was like, no, if you're going to be successful in the NBA as a white guy, you kind of got to be an asshole. And that was like, he was like kind of joking at the time, but it was pretty funny because looking back on it, it was like kind of spot on. So especially coming from him, I was like, wait, you a good guy? And then he just laughed, walked away just like that. So, but no, they taught me so much, especially off the court, man. Like you see the stuff K-Love does for his body after practice, like before and after. They're like 2 hours before practice, 2 hours after practice, like his commitment to like just having his body in the right places. I mean, second to none. So just him being there. Like he never really told me that much stuff like about you got to do this for your body. Just watching him, just by his actions. I mean, I learned so much from him. He would be in the cold tub like 3 or 4 times in one day. I'm like, I do not, not a chance I want to get in there, but I'm going to do it. He's doing it. But then, on the road, he took me to dinners and stuff like that. And, there's some I always appreciated about him, but just be a good person, man. That was like the one thing he would be a good person and don't ruin your chance.
Yeah. So how'd you feel, obviously looking up to Kevin Love so much, and, he's a big part of Cavaliers organization for so long. How'd you feel going from, learning from him to the point of, playing in front of him? It kind of says that you're doing your job for the most part, especially, with how the Cavaliers have been doing the past couple of years as well.
Mm-hmm. Man, it was crazy. It was kind of weird, especially this year. It was like, they kind of were like, Kevin, you're not going to play as much in like the rotation. So he wasn't getting any minutes, especially right before he got bought out. But it was just weird, man, because, my first couple of years, he was always in the game. He was always like the loudest on the court at the time. When you were in with him, you knew where he was at all times. So, going in before him and playing and coming to the bench, it was kind of weird just seeing him on the bench. But the crazy thing was, it was the same Kevin though. Like he didn't take it personally at all. Like I come off the court and go sit right next to him. He'd show me, like he would tell me a couple of things, like, did you see the slip on this one? Or like, you just be over a little more in the gap and stuff like that. So like he was like a true professional about it. Like he didn't take anything to heart, and he kind of understood what was going on at the time. I feel bad because everyone in Cleveland loved him. He's like he's so long, did so much for the organization. But he really wanted to play, and he still has some left to give to the organization. And they kind of came together and was like, it won't be here if you want to. And so I understand why he did it. He still wants to play. So but it sucks to see him go. But yeah, playing in front of him the past couple of years has kind of been it was weird at first, but you go to I think I learned more from him than some of the assistant coaches. I feel like I'm on the bench and go straight to K Love.
Yeah.
He's like, tell me exactly what I need to know. So, and I think I learned better from somebody that, he's been through the fire so many times, been through so many different situations. Everything he says is like holds like a little more weight, for me personally, because, I know he's been through it.
Yeah, well,
100%.
Well, hearing all the stories about, how he's been through it, let's, fast forward to, kind of modern time and, forward. Where do you want to take this? Where do you want to see yourself in the, next 5 years? You guys are building something special there. And you see from Kevin what it takes to be a player that has longevity with, with the Cleveland organization. Tell us about your 5-year plan and how you want to elevate and, leave your own legacy.
Yeah. So I think the next 5 years, I mean, what we're building here is special. We got a bunch of young guys, Darius, Evan, especially, like those two guys are like, obviously going to be the cornerstones of this organization. Got Donovan, Jay. I mean, we've got some unbelievable pieces here. I just want to be a part of it. I just want to be a piece that gives some sort of substance to the team, some sort of positive impact on the team. If that's defense, rebounding, whatever it is, hustle plays. I want to be part of it. I want to prove because, I might not be like as skilled as some of the other people. So it's, I get everything I get from like the NBA is based on my team, how my team does. I don't get anything if my team doesn't win. So I kind of gotta push myself to do the small detailed kind of things. And so that's my plan for the next 5 years is just being a more consistent shooter and especially just like my communication on the defensive end. I think, those star players we got, man, those boys are going to be tired. And sometimes, they might need sessions off on the defensive end, but communication kind of covers all on defense. So if I can give them, a couple seconds to really like catch their breath on defensive end, if I'm covering for them a little bit here and there, it's totally worth it. And I get my role. My role is space the floor, give Darius, Donovan, Ev, all those guys, just give them space to work. And if my guy goes over a little too far, shoot it every single time. So,
yeah. Well, let's talk about, that guard play, the backcourt that you have. It's a little bit different than some that you played with coming out of Kansas and Kansas State. Talk about how much of a talent Darius Garland is, and also Donovan Mitchell. You already seen a 70-point game from him this year. What type of energy do they bring where, for sure it helps you accept your role far easier?
Yeah, no, man, those guys are unbelievable. I mean, you watch them play basketball, man, it's special. It really is. You see Donovan. I mean, Donovan had 71 in the game this year.
Yeah.
We were down in that game. We needed all 71 of those points. Yeah. That's the crazy part. But watching those two guys work, I mean, and it's not selfish basketball at all. Like they're so good. They can get to any spot they want on the court. And, the shots they make are no matter if it's open contested, I always feel like they're going in at all times. So, but no, those two guys, I mean, Darius, young guy, but he's so fast, so quick. I mean, you can't stay in front of him. But I will say playing with those guys is like makes my life so easy on the offensive end because there's so many eyes on those two guys. I mean, the cuts, back cuts, like even just flare screen stuff like that. I'm so open, and those guys are willing passers, and so it makes my life really easy. When they're on, I mean, there's not a person that can stop them, I feel like. So, it's incredible to watch, especially.
I am in his room. I'm just joking. No, I agree with you. I can't keep up them young punks. They good. They good. But I mean, and I really would prefer to start more of our conversations with this next question because we had great conversation about, the mindset you have to have or just enjoying high school, fun in college, or you playing the NBA with some of your favorite players, what you're learning. But what I think a lot of our youth don't really understand is, they got to go through hardships and you got to go through tough times to prepare you, for the ultimate level. Because, the question is suffering from success. Everyone sees the glitz and the glamour. You spoke about it. It's like I'm on the road, I'm hanging out, I'm just going to have fun. I'm just in NBA. I'm going to go out late at night, hang out late at night, not knowing like, nah, it's all about getting your body ready for the show. So, talk to us about, just suffering from success in terms of what people don't see, that you really had no idea what you were going into. It could be financial, mental, physical, whatever. Just, give us a glimpse of what it's like for you to be an NBA player, and, it's still a struggle.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest struggle in the NBA, like for sure is definitely like the travel and like the what it does to your body. I mean, everyone's like, they only see us play, a couple hours a night, here and there, like every couple nights. So they don't get, they're like, oh, you got 2 days or a day and a half between games. Just sleep and you'll be fine, back to normal. But I mean, as physical and as big and strong as like NBA players are, I mean, like you get beat up, like your body hurts and stuff like that. So they don't see that part of it. And I feel like every game, some like little nick, like scratch. I got a scratch on my forehead from last night's game. Stuff like got bruises everywhere. They don't really see that kind of stuff. So that's probably the toughest part. But then I'll say, like off the court, financially, like, man, it's crazy. Like, especially like people from back home, my first couple of years, I had like a lot of friends, some distant family members kind of like I don't even have their numbers saved. Like call me like, hey, I got this great idea. I feel like, if I get it going a little bit, I just need a little extra cash to get it going. And it's like, oh yeah, like 30 grand. I can get this going. I think it'll be really profitable and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, what's the business? So like just hearing like everyone your first couple of years is like, oh, you have so much money. Like, let me get, I feel like that's how it always went for me my first couple of years. But I have like a great financial team that helped me kind of say no without having to say no. Like I always ask them like, yeah, okay, let me see your business plan then on the thing. And then
they disappear.
Yeah. And they was never got to see that. But then, you're also, I was 21 years old and I was getting money like I'd never even seen before. So,
well, when you first got, your deal and signed to, a guaranteed contract, how'd you acclimate yourself? How'd you enter into the players' ball? How'd you ball? You feel me?
Yeah, no, I got it, man. And I was like, man, I called my mom. She was emotional. My dad was happy. My sister was happy. And then I didn't even have a car at the time. So I went 3 years without having a car.
Smart man.
I went and bought a car and,
what type of whip? What'd you whip?
Mercedes, AMG.
Okay.
Nice.
So by that, you called your contract the bag. You just ain't call it a contract. You like, I went and got the bag, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I driving around in my wife's car at the time. So a Toyota Camry, I think. 2000. I don't know what it was. It's pretty. Hey, it worked. Got me from A to B pretty fast. So
for sure.
But no, I got my guaranteed contract, and I was like, man, I need a car. And then I was like, all right, hold on. Let's not spend too much now. I don't know how long it's going to go.
Nah, I hear you.
Smart man. Man. Well, we appreciate you tapping in with us, wishing you nothing but the best. And I appreciate you, with the open honesty. We hear a lot about African-American players and, the issues we go through off the court. So it was just a little refreshing to hear you had the same things, especially those ideas. Everybody's got an idea, no matter their creed or color. And is the universal answer that I love. No. So
yeah. Exactly.
really appreciate you just sharing your story and your journey, wishing you nothing but the best going forward. And, thanks for tapping in with us once again.
Oh yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, D Wade.
Oh, yeah.
Best of luck.